You said to me as well, though, that a lot of families manage wealth exceptionally from your experience, but they're the exception. Why is that?
We have a lot more research now, Leo, and also just what you've observed over the years. But the number one thing that really helps create families of enduring legacy is the communication that happens within the family or doesn't happen. And that's really what makes successful, enduring families. What do they talk about? What do they communicate with each other? The families that I work with are all families of legacy wealth. They will not consume what they have in their lifetime. So it's going to have generational impact. And I feel like one of the most important aspects of the role that we serve for those families is to, first of all, help the parents clarify what their intentions are on the impact that wealth is going to have. And then to bridge the gap between those intentions and the expectations the children have about the impact it's going to have for them. And more often than not, there's a cavern in between those parent intentions and the expectations of the children, and they never talk about it. Uh, and that's really the root of most of the problems that we see in families is that lack of communication. So we facilitate a lot of those conversations. Several families that I work with, the parents, I give them homework. I'll ask them, well, are they going to sell a business? What impact do you want this to have on your children? And I'll ask them questions about how do you feel about spouses? Are you going to help them with the house? Are you going to let them have some of these funds during their lifetime? And at the moment I see the husband and wife look at each other, I'm like, oh, they have never talked about these issues. They spent so much time building this great business that they have never really had the time to talk about those. So, we kind of stop the meeting right then, give them homework, give them a bottle of wine, tell them to go have a date night. And here's some issues you need to talk about for us to know how to really be able to help you make those things come to life. So it's all about communication.
Yeah, just a follow up on that. Is it just a lack of understanding of how to do it, or is it just the sense of entitlement that their kids have already had, and it's just easier to say, well, I'll just give them the new car, or we'll give them some money to buy their new house, but I don't want them to really. It's just too hard or difficult to talk about, how we want a more of a philanthropic bent, or I want them thinking differently, or whatever. I'll just take care of that. Um, where's the gap? Is it just the ignorance, the lack of knowing to be able to sit down and the right questions? I can see the value you bring by giving them that homework. And this is what you need to ask. This is what the answers that I need to get from you in order to help you and your family. So what holds them back?
I think related to a couple I was talking to last night, and they're young. They're in their 45s. One's a business owner, one's an executive. And literally, as we were talking about the situations they're in, they're like, we don't know how we got here. It's like we blinked and we went from uh, not being able to get a loan at a bank to start our business to having wealth beyond our wildest imagination. How did we get here so quickly? And now what do we do about it? So um, and they don't have usually a role model to look back on because most of what we work with are first generation business owners. So it's like, how do we do this? And it's not having a community where they can really share that. So often the circle of friends that they grew up with, that they spend time with, are not in that same situation. So it's like not something they talk about with their friends over dinner. So they feel isolated from the
Yeah.
issues that they're dealing with. And but it's not lack of desire. They really want it to be a positive impact. They really want to do the right thing. They just don't know how. And so that's where I think we can step in because literally we've done this hundreds of times with families. I've kind of seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. But for them, they'll do it once in their lifetime where they go through this big transformation of wealth and they're just unprepared for it.